Hey guys, Sicx again for another episode of Sicx Tarot. Before I start, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the video. Follow me on Twitter at Sicx Tarot. Only because a lot of videos I follow, they kind of open up with this sort of thing now, so it's easier in case I forget for later on. So this one's going to be very consumer friendly, and I'll be doing this in two parts. As I did have a main review come up last week, and I just kind of did a vlog and then a spread. This will be coming out. I'll be doing one coming out today and one for next week. And so basically this is like a nice consumer friendly one because Christmas is coming up, as we all know, and so I thought I'd put this up around now because I've put it up, well, there's no point in putting it up in December when most people have done their shopping. So enjoy. Right, so as I mentioned in my vlog, my kind of makeshift vlog, I hope that went down well, sorry about that. It was kind of unscripted, as most of this is, if I'm honest. So in my vlog I mentioned that I got some cards from The Works. It's like a small bookshop. They do really nice things in there if you've not been in there. And two of the decks of tarot cards that are available from the shop or on their website are these two. Got this pack here, which even now I don't actually quite know how you're supposed to read that, but you've got these tarot here, which you probably saw in the vlog, and you've got this pack here, which is the Secret of Tarot. Now, first of all, some of you have already seen this. I'll do these ones first. Now, as I've said before, this pack, which is actually called the Prediction, which makes sense, I guess. So first of all, it's a very large box. I think I'll put this upside down actually, it doesn't matter. So take the cards out. Now I said, if you've not seen the vlog, it'd be nice if you watched it, but you don't have to. This is kind of like a basic review, but we'll see. So this is kind of the back of them. Now, the reason I'm bringing these up is because these are the sort of cards you can kind of see in some of the smaller bookstores, and also they were quite cheap actually. Because when I picked up the Secret of Tarot, it was in a deal of like £7 or 2 for a tenner. Now, considering you're buying tarot cards, that's a really good value because most packs cost from £15. So if you can come across a pack that's at £10 or under, that's pretty good. But then obviously, as like anything else, the cheaper it is, the less quality there is. So we'll just do these for the time. I'll just go through this for the time being. So as I said in my other video, the look of the majors are quite nice. They're quite striking, as you can see. So as it starts, it looks really quite nice. Not necessarily easy to method read, but they kind of do what needs to be done. So I won't bore you with the individual cards themselves, but what I do quite like is the fact you've got a nice little diamond, kind of jewel there, and their name underneath. And as you progress, as you get to the minors, the diamond's a different colour, but unfortunately for the minors, they are essentially what I always used to call pip cards, where the minors are basically just standard 1, 2, 3 and 4s. They're not, there's no picture, there is no real detail. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if we want to start reading, if we want to start from the beginning, these cards themselves are not worth as your first deck. The only time you get pictures with the mages, I was with the court cards. They're court cards because they are the king, queen, knight, page, etc. Page. They are quite nice, but if you are starting out, these are not a good deck to start with. But also, my other thing is they do spread quite nicely. I'm not going to show you how they spread. They spread smoothly, and they're a nice thick cardstock. They're not too flimsy. but these are definitely not, the cards themselves are not for beginners, purely on the fact that you can't method read. No. Unless you're good with, unless you're a numerologist as well, you can't look at that and kind of come up with a message without having to keep referring to the book. So when I always say not for beginners, it's if it's not a deck that's easy to learn and you have to try and memorise via the book each time, I would always say they're not for beginners. However, I would say that other decks are obviously easier to deal with, so therefore they would be. But the reason this deck is interesting, as those who've watched the vlog had seen, the book itself that it comes with is very interesting. So when you get tarot, you get a book that tells you all the meanings. So I'm not going to go through this entire book, but the reason this stands out to me is because first of all you've got the meanings of the tarot, then you've got tarot spreads, then it goes on to talk about runes and individual meanings of those runes in quite a good bit of detail. Then you've got crystals, numerology, and numerology is always quite an interesting thing to come across. And then you've got the Chinese, the Eastern and Western zodiac, and then one tells you how to read tea leaves on here as well, which I think is really interesting. I don't read tea leaves myself, but I understand the mechanics of it. And of course, where's the other one I saw? And my favourite one, as soon as I can find it, I think it's after tea leaves, is how to read dice. Essentially, just how to read dice. You get 3 dice. I say dice, I don't like saying die. You get 3 dice, you throw them, and there's like a circumference. Any of them landing in that circumference, you add the number, and it's like a daily thing. So, as I said in the vlog, these cards aren't worth, if you're a beginner, these cards aren't worth buying. But if you're a beginner, the book is worth owning, which I think is very bizarre, but this book is worth the price of admission. So if you're like me, who also reads and also likes to collect, I'd say it's worth it. If you're a collector such as myself, to be honest, if you're a collector, you'd buy them regardless if you're going to read with them or not. But it's as I said, it's not for beginners, the cards are not for beginners, but the book is interesting enough to want to read, is worth reading. So I'd probably say give it a go if you like. If you want a bit of a challenge to start out with, card-wise, then fine. But the book is interesting, but the book kind of makes up for it, really. So now I'm going to move on to the Secret of Tarot. Now, so I picked this up about last month, but this would kind of count as their Christmas stuff, really. So as soon as I can actually get this out, because it's decided to be silly today. So I'm going to take the book out. And it's stuck. Don't worry, I won't edit this out. That's strange. Probably a bit shy for the camera. There we go. I won't edit that out, can't be asked. Okay, so this caught my eye. Once again, not only because it was £7, but that in itself, as a little package, that is very eye-catching. Now it's got a nice bit of detail on the back, merely explaining the structure of tarot, which if you've seen some of my, oh, come on, can you read that? There you go. Now if you've obviously seen some of my other videos, I've already mentioned the basics of tarot, but there you go, back to focus. That kind of shows you. So we'll start with the book. Actually, we'll do the box first. So that's, as you can see, relatively large box. Quite thin though, so storage probably won't be too difficult. So then we'll start with the book. As you can see, it's kind of very traditional looking. And it kind of got a nice pentagram at the bottom of the mat there. Some with lots of rings. They obviously know what they're doing because the hand's covered in rings. That means they're very good with the hands, maybe. So we'll start with the book. So you've kind of got a general index. Now the paper of the book is kind of stock, kind of a nice stock, I guess. But it mentions like the history and origins of tarot, which a lot of people are always very interested in knowing. And I like their cheekiness in the fact that they've got one of their own cards in this bit, even though these aren't the oldest design, but we'll get into that later. It says how to read tarot, talks about the cards themselves, and it mentions the small bit, the minors there, so you've got the chalice, sword, wands and pentacle. Yep, so sometimes they're referred to as cups, sometimes sometimes the chalices, it all depends. So we shall continue on just quickly, because I don't want to be on this book too long. Then it shows you all the majors and how they look. The Fool is at the end, which I always find quite interesting, because the Fool is usually at the beginning, because the Fool is 0 and everyone starts at 0 and gets to 1, while some decks do have it the other way around. So then it goes on to the cups and how they all look, and then so on to, then it goes on to the wands, swords, and then the pentacles or coins. Then it progresses to show you, it says the Celtic cross expanded. So you've got the traditional Celtic cross, which I'll show you in another video, but it's a very commonly used spread. It's up to it's 10 cards, and they've kind of done an expansion on here, which I think is quite an interesting thing. I'm always intrigued to look at more expansions and more tarot spreads, and then it does what I like to do on these videos. So not only does it show you the spread and what number means what, the next page it then shows you how that would look as a spread, and then what that would mean in context of a spread. So that's quite good for a tutorial book essentially. So, so book-wise, this does kind of give you what you need for your basics. So the book, definitely worth for beginners, as is the predictions one. But we go on to the important things, the cards themselves. So, I'll put one stuff at the bottom there. Right, first off, that is the back, so just like on the back of the box. First thing you will notice is that these cards are wafer thin. This just feels less like a card and more just like thick paper. So, it feels really flimsy. So sometimes I come across cards where you feel like you're going to tear. Sometimes when you open a box, you always worry that you're going to tear the seam. This does, as I was taking these out, it felt like I was going to tear these out as well, which is not a good sign. But if you don't mind, so basically I'm not fond of the feel of these are too thin. But for a beginner, these are basically designed for beginners, because you have the name of the cards, we've got the Magician, and when this decides to focus in, a meaning. And this looks like it progresses throughout the deck. Now, I am not fond of this artwork at all. Do not like it. It's kind of, because I'm not fond of photo tarot when they do it as photos, bit of a hypocrite, but when they make tarot cards made to look like it's authentic, old looking tarot, and then just make it with modern day photographs, it looks very strange, especially in this regard, because it's kind of like a CG background. So you've got the High Priestess there, but you've also got the meanings written at the bottom. So you kind of got, I mean, he looks horrible. He looks like he's just wearing a Santa's beard, but you've got the number there of 4. That's weird looking 4. Got a number of 4 there. He's also kind of done the artwork where it's kind of all artwork patchy, so it's like made to look like it's a, there you go, made to look like it's all kind of like a painting that's starting to peel with age. I know I cannot, the more I look at these, the more I cannot stand them. I do not like these at all. But at the same time, if, like anything else, this is just obviously my opinion, if you think, hey, they look pretty cool, go for it. But it's your money, buy what you want. You know, you're only you're more than welcome. You know, if you like them, go for it. If you don't like them, then just watch me complain about them. But yeah, so do not like the artwork on these though. But then, like I said, that's just kind of my style. but at the same time, can't fault them for that at the bottom. So these are the sort of cards that are perfect for beginners. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole deck. I will do that as part of a review, as a proper review. But we'll just have a quick look at how they spread and how they shuffle. Okay, so I'm just going to do it this way because I still want to keep them in order. They seem to, as they're quite thin, they seem to shuffle just fine. And of course the important thing is how do they spread. They spread quite well because they're quite thin. That does feel nice to spread. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say on a video. Well, at least not a sentence I say on a video that I'm always going to be published. But yeah, so they do spread quite smoothly. They do look really nice. Well, the back looks really nice. But yeah, as I said, it's entirely up to you what you like the look of. But personally, for me, I wouldn't get these myself. But if you're like starting from basics and want a basic idea, these are a good way to start. Well, I hope you liked that video. As I said before, some of these are they're in a very public sort of area, so you don't have to go find a spiritual shop or a crystal store to get those two. It is literally just walk into the works and see what they've got. So on my next video, I'll be talking about 3 of my favourite art, but just dreadful for beginners. I'm doing this once again purely because I want you to know what you're getting when you go out and buy a pack, because I've made mistakes where I've purchased a pack expecting like I'm going to be using these for the rest of my life, and then just can't, just because of some of their designs and kind of what they do with them. So I'll be kind of purchase review of 3 decks of cards, and 3 of the more gothic designs. Most of you would have, if not all of them, would have heard of at least one of them. So next week I'll be releasing that as a video, and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Obviously you're more than welcome to leave a comment down below, and like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, and also follow me on Twitter at Sicx, and also check out my website bluesixtarot.co.uk. You enjoy the rest of your week. Finger guns. Definitely finger guns. See ya.